All right, we're live.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sports Ethos Fantasy NFL Today show. I am your host, Jacob Dunn, and I am certainly not alone today. We have a litany of amazing people from our crew today. And we're going to start off here with Jason. How are you doing today, man?
Hey, what up, Jacob? How you doing, man? I'm great. Happy Sunday. We've made it. Always a peaceful Sunday when ASU either doesn't lose or wins. So, yeah, and we didn't play this week, so very peaceful Sunday.
There we go. It's a neutral week for you. That's always good, right? There's no heartache. So, right on. Anthony, how are you doing today, man?
Hey, man, I'm just happy to be here. As always, looking forward to a great Sunday, trying to get a couple wins in my matchups this week, hoping some of my best ball shares have some good weeks. But otherwise, like I said, man, just happy to be here like always.
Excellent, man. Let's make sure we all have a good week and we all win, especially you guys watching. All right, how about you, Max? Is this the first time that you've joined the show?
I was on a few weeks ago. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. But yeah, second time on the show. Excited to be part of it and looking like a good NFL slate today. So excited to get into it with you guys.
Excellent. And last but not least, John, how are you doing, bro?
I'm dying. I'm drinking teas by the gallon. I'm sick. I'm brutal. I accidentally dropped Puka Nacua in our Sports Ethos League and had to have Andre give me commissioner powers to add him back. You know, it's been one of those. But
I didn't even know that you dropped him, and so I put the rest of my fab on. And when I saw him on the waivers, I was like $91, and I was like, "Where'd my waiver go?" But I get it. It's all good. You were sick when you did it. It's all good.
No, I wasn't even sick. It's probably what caused me to be sick.
Needed an oopsie.
Probably. All right. So we have a bunch of start sit questions. We have some bets to get in with Anthony. But first, I think John has a fun question for us. Am I right?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I was going to wait because you got some Twitter questions too. So yeah, anyone watching on Twitter, come join on YouTube. Give us a like. Throw us your questions. Jacob said he's already got some built-in ones. But yeah, I want to do something like it's week 8. It's the midpoint of the season kind of. Have we learned anything, right? What have we learned? Are there like hard, fast rules for next season? So like, we'll start with Jason. 3, so if you had to get 3 tattoos in your body for next summer, like memento, to ensure you didn't make the same mistakes again, what would you do?
Don't doubt Justin Jefferson for number 1. In all fairness, I only had literally one chance of drafting him in 3 leagues, and the one chance I did draft him in 3 leagues, I did not make that mistake. I drafted him, but it was either between him and Amon-Ra St. Brown, and the guy before me took Amon-Ra, so I was taking whoever left, whichever one was left. But it's just he was QB proof to me going into the season. He had a tough situation last year with Nick Mullins once he came back from his hamstring injury, and he still went for nearly 500 yards and 2 touchdowns. So to me, it didn't really matter who was ever going to be back there for the Vikings. He was still going to be very productive and be a wide receiver 1. And, so far this year, he hasn't had like a full-blown nuclear game, but he's giving you like 12 to 15 points at least every week.
Minimum. Oh, yeah. Okay, what else you got?
Don't draft a quarterback early. Made that mistake and will not fall again. I've been burned by Patrick Mahomes. Not only just from being a 49ers fan, but as a fantasy football fan too. Just reached a little too hard for him this year, and it's definitely hurt me in a couple of leagues. So going for a couple of those quarterbacks a little too early, or at least if you're going to go for a quarterback early, make sure you know what that quarterback has around him. Because Jackson was drafted early, he's going off. Josh Allen is still doing big things. Jalen Hurts is doing all right, but he's not, putting up the numbers that you would hope for if you're drafting him as high as he's been drafted. Meanwhile, you have other quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield who's going off every week, and I could add him for 3.
Okay, well, Jason, we got 5 people, so you only get 2 tattoos. So
it's fine. I don't need any more.
Anthony, well played. What do you got for me?
So quickly, the thing I learned is that the Colts offense actually stinks. And that leads into my first rule, and that is to find a better balance between ceiling and floor when ranking players and drafting players, because you never know. Which is my second rule, is always consider what if I'm wrong. What if the situation doesn't play out the way that I think it does? For example, the Colts. I really like the Steichen offense in Philly. It was built pretty similarly. I thought that it might be a pretty smooth transition over there, but it's in fact been quite difficult this season with Anthony Richardson at the helm at the very least. And then my final rule is to diversify between leagues. If you only play in one or two leagues, obviously, you want to make sure you get your guys. If you're one of those players, fantasy players that plays in 10 plus leagues, like I'm in 10 leagues, it's good to diversify. I was a big Michael Pittman fan. I took him in a few drafts, but I avoided him in a couple of spots just because I didn't want to be too overweight in season long leagues, just in case you're wrong. So I was able to grab guys like Nico Collins in that area. He's hurt, but he's been fantastic.
He's back week 10. Let's go.
Yep. So rule number 3 for me is diversify between leagues.
Okay, cool. I like that. All right, Max, I know you're going to have something cool for me.
Yeah, so, Jason actually took my main point. The waiting on quarterbacks paid off. That was a great point by you. And I think, as you illustrated, people like Baker Mayfield, who went undrafted, Jaden Daniels, arguably one of the best quarterbacks in fantasy this year, went late, whereas guys like Pat Mahomes, Anthony Richardson went early. But not to get too much into that, I think waiting on tight ends also paid off this year. Guys who went early, like Sam Laporta, Travis Kelce, started really slow, starting to pick it up recently. But if you had waited and taken someone like Brock Bowers, or even just kind of streamed the position or picked up some guys from the waiver wire, I think tight end is definitely a position where investing a lot of draft capital early can set you back in other areas. So kind of sticking with the running back wide receiver approach early, I think has probably paid off for most drafters. And then I guess my last point is just volume is king once again in the running back world. People like Derrick Henry, Saquon, they kind of slipped into the second rounds. Even Kyron, people were concerned about, is he a punt returner? Is he going to lose some work? But obviously the people who get the ball all game don't have to split carries. They're going to be good for fantasy, assuming there's no injuries there.
Okay, so the big thing this summer, the onesie positions, right? That's what I heard. So you're saying nonesie positions. Don't go, right? Because I know Brian always talks about maybe if you go QB early, punt on tight end early, punt on QB. You're saying double punt, figure it out.
Yeah, double punt. You could maybe go early on one. Definitely not both.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, great. I like that. Jacob, what do you got for me?
So I just got one for you, John, and it's very, very important. It's been on my heart all season because I'm a CMC owner / sufferer. Always draft your handcuff, because his handcuff got drafted from me pretty early in the draft. I believe he got drafted around like the 10th or the 11th round when I was still mining for those gems. Jordan Mason got snaked from me, so I had to pay the iron price in getting Jordan Mason after CMC news early in the season. So whoever says don't waste your pick on handcuffs, let's just squash all those arguments now. Go for it. Get those handcuffs, especially in a system like the 49ers. I definitely learned my lesson, especially with CMC being in the past an injury risk. I should have just gotten it. I am kicking myself over it. I was looking for him in the 14th round, one of my last picks. Was not happening. Was not happy. So always handcuff your stud RB just in case.
Isn't that crazy? We're all experts. We've all been doing this for years. And then many of us took CMC and then didn't take Jordan Mason? And it wasn't it should be CMC, Penn, and then in blood, Jordan Mason. Right. I did the same thing. I remember I went back. I was like, when did he even go? And I was like, he went 94th overall. It's just stupid. So mine is tied to that. It's just don't draft injured players, right? If they're injured in the preseason, they're going to probably get hurt in the regular season. I took CMC, took Mason. I took Hollywood. He never played, right? I got Chubb I got Chubb, Jonathan Brooks in some leagues. It's just, don't chase the rainbow. Just because football, they're going to get hurt anyway. So if they're already hurt, it's just stupid. But yeah, handcuff. I love that. Handcuff.
Absolutely.
Right? I think even we wrote stuff about handcuffs aren't that important. No, they are.
Right. They certainly are, and I will go to bat for that every year now.
Yeah, fool me once. All right, Jacob,
Yeah.
you say we got some Twitter questions. So yeah, anyone watching on Twitter, come over to YouTube, give us a like, give us a question, then we can see it.
Yes. So I have copied and pasted all of the Twitter questions onto the comments. Actually, some haven't showed up, but I think we should give priority to those watching live on YouTube right now, such as the first question comes from Wayne T. I'm trying to click it, but it won't let me get it.
Oh man, I gotta be the master.
Okay, thank you. So good morning, guys. This is from Wayne T. Thank you, Wayne. Good morning, guys. In PPR, who to start between Marvin Harrison or JSN? All right, let's start off with Anthony. What do you think, buddy?
Just quickly, I'm going to go with JSN. Marvin Harrison's been up and down. He can always put up a big game, but it just hasn't worked out that way this season. JSN's kind of been the same, but with DK not playing, I think that JSN is going to be a lot better than people expect this week. So JSN is the answer for me.
Yeah, especially with DK Metcalf will be out this week. I think it's been confirmed. He was doubtful yesterday, but I think it's been confirmed. Either way, it doesn't look good for DK, which makes JSN, his floor has definitely risen.
He's going to do some Jacob. He's going to do some pregame work, but remains doubtful.
Gotcha. So you never know. Like it could be like a last second switch, but for now, DK is trending towards being out. But definitely monitor that. What do you think, Max?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is just tough for Marvin Harrison owners in general, how far he's fallen. If they saw week 8, he's being compared to JSN, start sit, probably a flex consideration. But that's kind of the season it's been for Marvin so far. He hasn't really produced. It seems like every game they're talking about, oh, we got to get him more involved. Kyler's like, I want to get him the ball more. But I think JSN is likely to play for me as well. With DK being out, there's just a lot more opportunity. And I think he would be the guy I would be going with.
Solid. How about you, Jason?
Yeah, for me, I'm going JSN at this point as well. Even when Harrison has had good games, the catch volume isn't high. It's like, 4 or 5 catches and like 130 points. I mean, which is great numbers. But if you look at JSN's numbers, especially in full PPR, he's getting targeted a number of times. You have DK out. So, he's already going to get more volume just by default. And when he's having his games, he's getting like 7 to 8 catches. And it's not a ton of yards, but you're offsetting the yards with catches in full PPR. So.
Right. So it sounds like the consensus here is JSN. Or unless John has a rebuttal.
No, just ignore me. I'm just here. I'm background noise.
All right. Well, JSN. So Marvin Harrison does have a very tough matchup in Miami. They don't allow a lot of fantasy points to wide receivers. So that definitely goes with JSN as well. I would start him too. Next, and since I can't click on the comment, I'm sorry. I was going to go down to Evan. Thank you, John. Morning. Do we like Diggs or DJ Moore today? Since they didn't give a scoring, we're just going to automatically think it's half PPR. So Anthony, who should we go with, Stephon Diggs or DJ Moore?
You're muted. No, that's just.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Sorry about that, folks. Diggs or DJ Moore? I think that they're pretty close. I think I am going to lean Diggs, though. He's just been a little bit more consistent this season. I think CJ Stroud's a better quarterback than Caleb Williams as of today. So I'm just going to kind of leave it at that. I'd go Diggs.
Max?
Yeah, I agree there. I think Diggs is the play for me with Nico Collins remaining out. Tank Dell wasn't really too involved last week in the passing game, so I think Diggs definitely is going to be the primary receiving option there for them. But it is a close one, but I would also go with Diggs.
Excellent. And Jason, what do you think, dude?
I, too, am going Diggs here. DJ Moore is like one of the models of volatility in fantasy football to begin with. Remember that game last year against Washington when he went for like 140-something yards and like 3 touchdowns and had like a 40 fantasy point game? And next week he'll chase it with like 4 points. But it's less about that and more about Diggs being the number 1 receiver right now in Houston while Nico Collins is out. And plus, that Colts secondary is not good. I would expect the Texans receivers to be today. So I'm going Diggs.
I'm with you with the Colts secondary. It is not good. And Diggs should have like 7 to 8 catches today, I'm thinking. I don't think it'll be, for like a ton of yards. It could be. He does have that upside, but he definitely has a safer floor than DJ Moore. So, all right. So I'm going to need your help, Anthony, since John just hopped off, if you don't mind clicking on the next questions. Excellent. So we got Shell Doe. Thanks for tuning in, Shell Doe. Says, good morning, fellas. Please pick 2, James Cook, Brian Robinson, Tank Bigsby, ETN may be out. Yeah, right. So I just saw that this morning that ETN is a long shot to play. So we're going to pick 2 between James Cook, Brian Robinson, and Tank Bigsby. And let's start it off with Jason.
Ooh, I like this one. For right now, though, it's James Cook and B-Rob for me. Reason being, Bigsby's had a couple of good games recently. Packers defense is a little bit better than the Patriots, though. So don't get, too excited about, his game last week. And he had that one big run against the Texans a few weeks ago. But I'm still going with the more consistent plays right now. And Cook and Robinson, those offenses have been more consistent over the course of the season, as we've seen. So it's hard for me to trust anybody in Jacksonville right
now. Okay. That's fair. How about you, Max?
Yeah, hate to be the guy that's just agreeing with everyone, but I think Cook and Robinson are the play. Robinson comes up against Chicago, and they've been one of the better defenses against the pass this year. And with Daniels potentially playing injured, I think the Commanders are probably going to lean on the run game as much as they can. So I think he's going to be in for a pretty sizable workload. And then I would also go with James Cook. Although Bigsby has had a couple 100-yard games 2 of the last 3 weeks. I think, like he said, the Jaguars offense is just not something you could trust. So getting into the end zone may be difficult for Bigsby.
Gotcha. And Anthony? Mute.
Sorry, I've been muting so I don't talk over folks. I'm going to go James Cook for sure. He's been an RB1 all season. So yeah, I love the offense. I love the play. Just to differentiate, I like Tank Bigsby if ETN is out. Like Max said, he's had a couple 100-yard games this season. The Jaguars are at home. The Packers defense is pretty good, but Bigsby has just been a really solid play. So I would go Cook and Bigsby, I think.
So I'm actually going to go Cook and Bigsby too. I slightly lean Bigsby. Bigsby faces the Packers and Brian Robinson Jr. faces the Bears. Those are very 2 tough defenses against the run. I guess I would just rather face the Packers than the Bears, but it's very close because they're both at home. They're both great plays. This is a good problem to have. I think I'm going to go with Cook and Bigsby here. So we're split here. But at least we have a consensus of James Cook. So you can take that to the bank. Can we go down to Wayne T? That's my son in the background trying to get on the show, wearing his Buff jersey. Let's go Buffs after that big win last night.
What's up, little buddy? Travels, huh?
Hi. So from Wayne T, we need a bench one. We need a bench one out of James Conner, Josh Jacobs, Jordan Mason, and Joe Mixon. So who wants to start off with this question?
Sure, I can start off. I would bench James Conner. Similar to the last question, this is a good problem to have. These guys are all kind of the cream of the crop of the running backs, get a lot of volume, a lot of touches. But I think Conner against Miami with Tua coming back, they're going to potentially be playing catch up in this game. So he might not get as many carries on the ground as usual. So he would be the bench for me there.
I actually too would go Conner here. The last time the Cardinals played a road early game, they got smashed, and Conner, had a tough day. So we'll see. I'd say the Dolphins' defense is tougher than the 3 that are that the other 3 running backs are going against. I mean, again, you already harped on Jacksonville's defense, so pretty tasty matchup for Josh Jacobs. It sounds like the Cowboys are still going to be missing a couple key defensive players tonight, meaning good matchup for Jordan Mason. And I don't need to talk about how bad the Colts defense is. So Mixon, when he's played, has basically been an RB1 this year. So for me, it's Connor.
Anthony?
I am going to bench either Connor or Mason. I think I was right last week on a couple questions. That was one or two players or Mason. I don't know how much better the shoulder's feeling. The 49ers, Debo should be back, I think. I know he's sick, but I think he'll play. He'll take some carries as well. But I also agree that Connor definitely plays the toughest defense here. The Cardinals' offense hasn't been what I think we expected it to be. So I would be between benching Connor and Mason.
Okay, it sounds like we have a consensus there because I would also, I mean, like these are all, this is a good problem, but Connor does have the toughest matchup against Miami, like you all said. So I would definitely bench Connor there. And so I'm going to get to one of the questions I got on X here from John Strong. Half PPR, not looking for upside. So we're looking for a safe floor. All right. So looking for most likely to get 10 plus points. So we got Brian Robinson against Chicago. We got Devonta Smith, T. Higgins, Jalen Waddle, and Nick Chubb. So let's pass it over to Jason. Who would you start here out of these options?
Oh, man, well, these aren't safe floors really for anybody, but at this point, most likely 10 plus points. I think Brian Robinson is probably the safest. Even though the Bears defense is good, he still gets a ton of volume. So if you're looking for that volume play, that's what you want to go with.
Yeah. How about you, Max?
Yeah, I agree. I think Robinson is the safest play here. Typically, I would say running backs are the safest, but obviously Chubb is coming off his injury as well, so I wouldn't trust him. And like I said, the Chicago defense very good against the pass, so I think it's kind of going to be a run funnel game script, and so I'd go with Robinson.
Anthony, do we have a sweep or no?
We do. Looking for safety. Actually, in writing about this game this week with the Commanders and the Bears, Brian Robinson has been really safe. He's scored anywhere between 10 and 19 points in every game so far this season. And so if you're looking for that floor, as John Strong specified, he doesn't need the upside. I think Brian Robinson is the smash play for a safe floor here.
Yeah. I'm loving this context here because usually we have to decipher the context or say, hey, if you need upside, go with this guy. If you need a safe floor, go with this guy. But thankfully, he needs a safe floor, and Brian Robinson is that dude to give you that safe floor. So I definitely agree with all of you gentlemen. And next, the Twitter question is Zay Flowers or Rachaad White? Full point PPR. So let's kick it off back to Anthony.
Zay Flowers. I'm just going to go with the better player. Rachaad White is in a 3 running back committee in Tampa. He will probably see an uptick in targets, though, just because Evans and Godwin are out. But Zay Flowers is just a better player. He's the number one passing player in that offense. So Zay Flowers for me.
Jason?
Yeah, I too am going Zay. Just be careful, though. Zay Flowers did get hurt last week. He's expected to play, but he did stay in the game last week, but he was mainly used as a decoy. So that's the one area I'm a little squeamish on right now is we don't know how fully healthy he is.
It's an excellent
point.
Right.
I still am going Zay at this point too. He's got more around him. They can find ways. It seems like they're going to have an easier time getting him open and be able to get a few more grabs in there and put up some stats.
Yeah. And Max?
Yeah, I think this question would have been a little more helpful if we had the context of last question, because although Zay is definitely the clearly better player here, I think coming off the injury, like Jason said, that it is a riskier play. I think he might not be as involved in the game plan if that injury is actually lingering. Rachaad White, although it is a 3-back committee right now, he's definitely going to get some touches, going to be more involved in the passing game with Evans and Godwin out. So if you need a safer play, you're already up in your matchup, you just want to put some points on the board, I wouldn't be afraid to roll Rachaad out there.
All right. Okay. I'm going to go with Zay Flowers there just for the safety and just because Bucky Irving's back there and Sean Tucker's still somewhat of a threat. So I'd rather go with Zay Flowers. That's just me, though. All right, next, another question from Sheldo. Thank you, Sheldo. How do you feel about Hunter Henry or Jake Ferguson or Fergie, full PPR, poke for the Pats may be out? So that's what gives Henry a little bit more appeal. But I'm just going to quickly say I'd rather have Jake Ferguson here still. How about you, Jason?
Still going with Ferguson. Hunter Henry's had some good games this week, and everybody's bought high on him. The next week he's done nothing. It's been very volatile. So I just want to see more of him and Drake May before I'm like all the way in on Hunter Henry. But Henry is a good stash at this point, and I still do like Ferguson as he's still a very reliable target for Dak.
Okay. And how about you, Max?
Yeah, so in my tight end ranks for the week, I had Ferguson at 8. Henry was down at 14. But I do like Henry's connection with May, especially last game. He had over 90 yards. Polk being out isn't a major impact for me. He hasn't been as involved in the passing game. But, I like Henry as, like he said, a bench stash, maybe an upside play. But I think the safer play is definitely to roll with Ferguson.
All right, and Anthony?
I think we have another
consensus.
Yeah, I think we have another sweep, another consensus. I agree with a lot of what Jason said. Like Hunter Henry, he's a good stash. Just want to see it a little bit more. Drake May. Ferguson's been super consistent, reliable. The number 2 in that Dallas passing offense, which is just a better offense than the one up in New England.
Excellent. So we have a clean sweep there. Jake Fergie. All right, so next we're going to go down to Clip Next, right under Sheldo. And so we got DJ Moore, Romeo Doubs, or Darnell Mooney at wide receiver 2. This is a pretty solid question, and we're going to kick it over to Max first.
Yeah, I would go with DJ Moore here. I know initially in the season, there was a lot of frustration between him and Caleb Williams getting on the same page. Kind of let down fantasy managers a little, but Caleb's definitely started to find his groove with this offense. And although Cole Kmet kind of took the touchdowns last time they played, I think DJ Moore is the best bet here against the Commanders.
Okay. And then Anthony?
I like Darnell Mooney a lot. I think he's been great this season. So, yeah, I think I'm going to go Darnell Mooney here.
Okay. And what about you, Jason?
All right, we can finally embrace some debate here. Let's go. I'm actually going to side with Anthony on this one and go with Darnell Mooney. If you look at a couple weeks ago how they did against the Bucs, Mooney had a huge game, and he was one bad drop away from having an even bigger one. The Bucs secondary has been roughed up, and they're probably going to be on the field a lot more. And I got to go with Mooney here.
Deal. I think we're going to be split here because I'm going to agree with Max here and go with DJ Moore. Just a little bit safer in my opinion. When Darnell Mooney did that, it was in a dome in Atlanta. So I think like Kirk Cousins thrives in domes. But that doesn't mean it can't happen again because it is the same defense. I get that logic, so it could happen again. I just would rather lean on DJ Moore against a Washington defense that has improved, but I still think that DJ Moore can carve them up. So I'd go with DJ Moore, but it is close. Cool dad. Oh, thanks, Clip Next. Well, I mean, I speak for, I'm a dad. Anthony's a dad. I know that he is a new dad over here. He's a cool dad for sure. Max and Jason, are we dads?
We are not.
We are
I'm just
split.
I'm just the dad of the friend group.
Solid. There
Hey,
we
that's
go.
pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
That's so pretty cool.
Nice. All right. Jesse Winchester, thank you so much for tuning in. Hey, boys, Rodgers or Mayfield? So Rodgers has a pretty tough matchup, although the Patriots have been beatable this season. And then Mayfield against the Falcons, whom he torched the last time he saw him, but he's down Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So knowing all that, what do you think, Anthony?
I think think that I'm still going to go with Baker Mayfield, but I don't really like it. The Bucs are at home. He's been the much better quarterback this year. He is down his top 2 weapons, which is going to be a huge damper. But there's still some talent there. They have the 3 running backs that they like. They can catch, at least 2 of them, I think, can catch passes. I'm not sure about Sean Tucker, but White and Irving can certainly catch passes. Kate Otton's a reliable tight end. He's nothing fancy, nothing special, but he's reliable. I really like Jaden McMillan, personally speaking. This is his opportunity to really show the talent that he has. Sterling Shepard is all reliable. Maybe a little biased from a Giants fan, but he's a guy that he can get it done at any point necessary. So I'm gonna go with Baker Mayfield still in a lean, but I think you can have an argument either way.
Sure. How about you, Max? Who would you go with if this was your fantasy team, Rodgers or Mayfield?
Yeah, well, I'm actually starting Baker in one league, and I would roll with Baker here over Rodgers as well. I think right now Baker is the number 2 overall player in fantasy, and he's obviously number 2 in QBs. Has had a great season. Granted, Evans and Godwin are obviously injured and out this week, but I think he's shown he can put up numbers without them. Like last week, Kate Otten was very involved, 100 yards receiving. And I think Rodgers, although he has all the weapons, he has Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, Breece Hall, he hasn't really performed for fantasy. So, and like you said, tough matchup in New England as well. So until I see him perform, I'm going to roll with Baker despite the depleted receiving core.
Right on. And do we have a sweep, Jason, or no?
No, I'm actually going with Aaron Rodgers. And really, it's who he has available. For me, I'll take having Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, and Devontae Adams, and even Tyler Conklin available over the collection of what Tampa has at this point. Atlanta's got a tougher defense than people give it credit for. They had a bad week last week. They're going to be looking to bounce back. And the Patriots aren't good. And Rodgers torched them a few weeks ago. Everybody forgets that the game that the Jets had against the Patriots at MetLife a few weeks ago, he looked like his old self in that game. So I like Aaron Rodgers today.
Look at Jason following his rule. He's following his rule already of look at what the quarterback has around him.
Yeah.
I like it. Going with the safer weapons. All right. Carlos is God. Thank you so much for joining, Carlos. Morning, folks. James Conner, Kareem Hunt, Jordan Mason, or Chuba. I assume that's Chuba, not Nick Chubb. Or you just mix those 2 guys. That'd be a crazy running back. But so Chuba Hubbard. So Conner, Hunt, Mason, or Chuba Hubbard at the flex. What are you thinking, Max?
Yeah, so for me, this comes down to Mason versus Hunt. They both have favorable matchups on the ground. Mason hasn't scored in 3 weeks, but he started the fantasy season on a tear. Personally, I'm just going to lean with Hunt. I really like the way the Chiefs have been feeding him the ball recently, and I think against the Raiders, they're going to be up. He's going to get 20 plus carries, and I think there's going to be a touchdown for him as well. So I'm going to roll with Kareem Hunt here.
Okay, and how about you, Jason?
I too am going with Hunt. At this point, the Broncos defense is good. Connor has a tough matchup. Mason's been good, but he hasn't been scoring. And the other thing is the Niners in the red zone right now, very, very deficient in the red zone. Like they haven't been finishing drives. And it's been, I'll talk about my own sanity later about that as a Niner fan. The Chiefs, they've had their own struggles, but they've found something again with Hunt, and he's been looking like the guy they drafted back in 2018, and they do finish drives with him. And so I'm team Hunt here.
And Anthony, what do you think, man?
I am gonna go with, this one's really tough. If you would have asked me, if you would have told me in the beginning of the season that we would be debating Kareem Hunt versus Jordan Mason in a good way, like they're both good options, like I would have.
Gross.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna lean Hunt as well. He's been playing well the past couple of weeks. Mason has played really well all season. He's kind of slowed down a little bit since the injury, but sometimes you got to adjust midway through and see when a player is really surging and when another player is maybe in a bit of a slump and make some tough decisions. So I would lean Hunt, but I'm certainly fine starting Mason as well.
Yeah, I would lean Mason there, but I do like Hunt as well. I just like a better offense at home against the Cowboys. I think it's a little bit more safer, but Hunt, it's hard to bench Hunt, and I'm down 3-1, so it sounds like it's Hunt. Jonathan Strong, thank you so much again for the question. This is the second. We actually answered this earlier when I brought it up, and we all chose Brian Robinson. Oh, here's another question from Jonathan Strong. Got Tua or Jaden Daniels? Does anyone know, is Jaden Daniels for sure in? Because I know that they said he was a game time decision. I don't know if anyone's heard anything different.
I've been doing some reading this morning. Sorry to cut everybody off. Daniels is trending towards playing, but it's not official yet.
Oh, okay. I see that. Also, Sports Ethos confirmed that. The best fantasy site in the world there. Thanks for the shout out, Sports Ethos. So Jaden Daniels is trending towards playing versus one of the most nastiest defenses against quarterbacks, I will say. And I love Jaden Daniels. Tua does have an easier matchup against the Cardinals. So let's just start off with Anthony. Tua or Jaden Daniels?
I mean, you laid it out for me. I'm going to go Tua. Daniels he's really pretty questionable still at this point. The Bears are a great defense. Sure, Tua is coming off a concussion, but according to the NFL, he's healthy. And according to the Dolphins, he's healthy and ready to play. Cardinals defense isn't good. Give me Tua.
Okay. And how about Jason?
I would say Cardinals defense is a little better than people give it credit for. I mean, they've had their moments of being very bad. They've also had their moments of actually looking elite, which I can also very much sadly remind you of. However, I got to go Tua here. He's the one who's been cleared to play. We don't, especially the other tricky part about this that we forget is one guy plays in the early window, one guy plays in the late window. You got to be safe here and take the guy who's playing in the early window who you know is playing.
Deal. And Max?
Yep, I think we're in agreement here. I would go with Tua as well. He has a favorable matchup against Arizona, fourth most points to QB so far. And the injury risk with Daniel is just is too much for me. It's like if he re-injures, he could sit out, be benched, sit out a few series. Like I think Tua is the safer play and in a good matchup as well. I would put Tua in the lineup.
Now, I love Daniels. And it's hard not to rank him high with that rushing upside. But like you guys said, how much will he actually run? Like given that rib injury, I think they'll play it super safe with him. So Tua is the safer option. But if you do need that upside, and what if he is healthy, then Jaden Daniels is your guy. But if you just need a safe floor, it's an even-keeled matchup. It's very neutral. Then Tua, I agree, Tua is the start. And then we got our next question from X Jimmy Bucket Season. We need to bench one, guys. We need to bench someone between Waddle, who has Tua back, Zay Flowers, Devonta Smith, or George Pickens. Bench one, Max.
Yeah, so similar to the last question, I think the injured guy here is Zay Flowers. So with the game script against Cleveland, I expect the Ravens to be up. If they get an early lead, maybe they don't really pass as much, kind of let them rest that injury. So I would be benching Flowers here.
Okay, and Jason?
I too am going Zay strictly on health. He's the least healthy of these four right now, and you got to go with the injured guy.
Okay, and Anthony?
We have another consensus for the reasons that Jason and Max mentioned. Though I would also not hate if you benched Waddle here. I get the matchup's good, but Tua is just coming back. I kind of want to see how the offense flows. I would understand that, but if this was my team, I would bench Zay.
Yeah, I would bench Waddle here. It's very close, though, with you guys. I am down 3-1 here, but I would just bench Waddle for the reasons that Anthony gave with Tua. But that's a good problem to have. Next from the Joker. Thanks for the question, Joker. Brock Purdy or Baker Mayfield? I'm going to quickly say Purdy here, just because he has more weapons and a better offense, despite like the Ayuk injury. Samuels, as far as I know, he's out of the hospital and he's trending towards playing. Even so, I do like the matchup at home against the Cowboys. What do you think, Jason?
I'm going with my guy, Brock. Debo's expected to play. Kittle's expected to play. Cowboys are still likely to be missing at this point. Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. Yeah, I'm going with Brock.
Okay. And how about you, Max?
Yep. I'm going with Brock as well. I think he's safer given the weapons he has around him, and has even been showing a little rushing upside. I know he had 2 rushing TDs last week and seems to be just scrambling a little more, which obviously provides a solid baseline for quarterbacks.
Very good. And Anthony?
Clean sweep. No need to beat the dead horse. Go with Brock Purdy.
Done. Brock Purdy it is. All right, clip next. Thank you for the question, my friend. We got Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, or Tua. Talk Tua. What are you thinking, Anthony?
I'm going to go Burrow. I think he's the best quarterback here. The Eagles' pass defense hasn't been that great this year. Joe Burrow.
Okay. And Jason?
I got to go with Burrow here. He's been the most consistent. The Eagles' defense has struggled, and he's still got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins available to him.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to note quickly, I'm not sure that T. Higgins is going to – he had a quad injury in practice on Friday.
All right.
I think,
did see that.
So and they're pretty pessimistic about him playing. I don't know if that changes your answer, Jason, but I just wanted to throw that context out there as well.
Yeah, uphill battle for Higgins to play, huh? No, it still does not change my answer at this point. Burrow's been the most consistent out of the 3, but if I had to eliminate Burrow, I'm actually going with Kyler, because Kyler's legs and his running ability gives him so much upside. I mean, he's run for 2 40-plus yard touchdowns this year already, which incredibly offsets some off passing days.
Murray does have that safe floor, but I do like Burrow in a much better matchup at home. Like Kyler has to travel to Miami against a tough defense, so that's just why I would go Burrow here. What do you think, Max? Is it a clean sweep or no?
Yep, it's a clean sweep here. I think Burrow, best quarterback, has Jamar Chase. Even if Higgins is out, I'd still be rolling with Burrow in this matchup.
Still got Jamar Chase, so
yeah, that's all he needs.
Really.
Yeah.
All right. Jeremiah Eldridge, thank you so much for the question. PPR desperation flex, pick one. We got a desperate Jeremiah here. All right, we need Jerry Jeudy with new quarterback Jameis Winston at the helm. Cedric Tillman, his teammate. So which Browns wide receiver do we like more? And Troy Franklin, who got some run last time out when the Broncos faced the Saints. It looked like Knicks only had eyes for Franklin early on, at least, before the game got out of hand. So this is a very interesting question. It is desperate indeed, but we're here to help you decide this. So who wants the honors in choosing this one first, guys?
I'll get it.
All right, Jason.
Let's not get excited at once here. Obviously a very tough call, but shout out my guy Jameis for finally being freed. It's about time. It's unfortunate the circumstances. He should have been playing long before this. But you know what? I'm going to go Jeudy here. He's a true number 1 receiver at this point out of all 3 of these guys. I feel like Jameis can actually, especially once the game script gets negative, which inevitably gets negative when the Ravens start, running them up and down the field, will obviously be heavy passing. So Jeudy will be targeted a lot. I'm going Jeudy.
All right, Max.
Yeah, I guess for argument's sake, I'll just roll with Tillman. I think Jeudy and Tillman both see a massive bump with Jameis under QB and his ability and willingness to just sling it downfield with more accuracy than Deshaun had, obviously. But Tillman actually had 8 catches for 81 yards on 12 targets last week. And I think Jeudy throughout his career has kind of let people down, especially when it's like, oh, now it's time for Jeudy to step up. And it seems like time and time again, he's just letting not only the NFL team but fantasy managers down. So
Yeah.
I'll roll with Tillman here.
Okay. And Anthony?
We are very different here because I am going to go with Troy Franklin.
Oh my goodness.
Listen, we're talking desperate, right?
Sure.
Let's not forget Bo Nix and Troy Franklin both went to Oregon last year. They were great together at Oregon. Both obviously drafted to the same team. It's been a bit of a struggle for Franklin early, but I think we're seeing Cortland Sutton is kind of being phased out. I think I saw that Josh Reynolds was he's not going to be active. I think there was something going on there. I think I saw somewhere that he's not going to be active for a little while.
He was shot.
Is that
Literally
okay? I don't want to throw out
shot, so I
speculation
don't think
because I
he'll be
couldn't
active.
remember. Yeah, I couldn't remember
Right.
exactly what happened. I don't want to speculate, but thanks for clarifying that. So
yeah, absolutely.
yeah, Troy Franklin's the next man up. He started to show something last week. And quietly, Bo Nix has been the QB 14 this season. Very quietly.
Right. He's been rushing. Yeah.
So if we're talking about desperate here, give me Troy Franklin.
All right. I like it.
I'll
go with Tillman. What's that? What's
Can't
that?
be wrong when you're desperate, right?
Right. We're desperate here. I have a little bit more. I like Tillman just because of what Max said with the 12 targets, 8 catches, 81 yards, and Winston was looking his way. Judy's going to get the number 1 corner, which should free up Tillman, but this is desperation. So you can't get more desperate than these guys. So whichever argument you like best, Jeremiah, go with it. We have about 12 minutes left. So we got to go, not really rapid fire, but just a little quicker here so that we can get to everyone's question. Clip next. What's up, dude? We got Kraft, Otten, or Henry. Which tight end? I'm going to go with Tucker Kraft here. Slightly over Otten. Otten does have a bump in, like a bump coming his way, but I'll still go with Tucker Kraft here. What do you think, Anthony?
I'm going to go with Cade Otten. He's going to be Mr. Necessary. I know I said I liked Jaden McMillan a lot earlier, but I think Otten is going to be the number 1 target today.
Okay. Max?
Yep, I'm going to agree with Otten. I think the 8 for 100 and the vacated targets, he should be in line for a big workload today.
And Jason?
I'm too going Cade Otten. Again, big uptick in value. He's going to be heavily relied on. The Packers, they have a litany of pass catchers that we don't really talk about outside of Jaden Reed, who do so much. When they're all fully healthy, you just kind of never know. It's very unpredictable with Kraft, and he's part of that group. But there's a lot of guys in that offense that can eat. And, yeah, Otten is going to be heavily relied on now with Evans and Godwin out.
I get it. So Otten 3-1. Next question from Epics. We got bench 1, full PPR. Jalen Waddle, Zay, Devonta Smith, Pickens, and Bigsby. This looks like a similar question to last time, but Bigsby is now added to the fold. So which one would you bench here if it's your fantasy team, Jason?
I'm actually going to bench Waddle here because he's not like he's not a high reception guy. He usually tops out on a good day around like 4 to 6 catches. So I'm actually going Waddle here just because if you're going full PPR, like Flowers is a high catch guy. Devonta Smith is sometimes a high catch guy. Pickens is around 6 to 7 catches usually, but he's still the number 1 guy. And you have Bigsby, who's a running back to me, especially the number 1 running back. That's automatic volume. You have to go with the running back.
There we go. And Max?
Yeah, I think it is similar to that other question. I would stay benching Flowers just because of game scripts potentially being up, the injury if he re-injures or doesn't get as much volume. My next bench in line, I guess, would be maybe Bigsby, but I'll go with Flowers for my answer here.
Okay, so benching Waddle, benching Flowers. What about you, Anthony?
Yeah, I would default to my previous answer and bench Zay. Also understand benching Waddle.
Yeah, I would bench Waddle there.
Doesn't change it.
So,
yeah, Bigsby doesn't change it for me.
Hopefully that helps Epics. It sounds like it's either Waddle or Zay, the consensus, or it's split. But let's go with Flash. Morning, fellas. Standard League. We are still in a Standard League, guys. So get your standard heads on right now. We got Marvin Harrison Jr., Rashad White, or Jalen McMillan. Standard League here. So what are you thinking here, Anthony?
McMillan, I think still. He should get some volume. I know it's a standard league, but I think I'm still going to lean McMillan over White.
Okay. And how about you, Jason?
Are we talking starting or sitting here?
We are starting one, I assume.
I gotta go Rashad White. Again, with the I know we keep talking about the pass catchers. He's a pass catcher. He had 6 catches last week. He's still a threat in the passing game for the Bucs. Either way, he's going to see increased volume. I'm starting Rashad White.
Okay. And Max?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Rashad White as well. I think, especially in a standard league, the volume he's going to see is probably going to exceed the other two. It's very unknown right now with the Tampa Bay wide receivers, who's really in tight ends, running backs, who's going to get all the volume. But White's going to be at least getting the ball on the ground in addition to a few catches.
Yeah, I usually go with the running back in a standard league as well when it's that close. So I'll go with White as well. The Joker with another question. Thank you, Joker. We got Wan'Dale Robinson or Sterling Shepard. So got Wan'Dale Robinson of the Giants or Sterling Shepard of the Buccaneers with that depleted wide receiver core. What do you think, Jason?
I'm going Wan'Dale. He's been getting targeted a ton, even with Neighbors back. And we all know about Daniel Jones's struggles in prime time, but Wan'Dale will probably get 6 to 7 catches at least. So I'm going Wan'Dale.
All right. And Max?
Yep, I agree here. Wan'Dale has been a target hog throughout the early season, and I think Shepard is just a little hard to trust given the uncertainty in Tampa Bay of who's going to really be getting the ball there.
Right on. And Anthony, as the resident Giants fan, are you going with your boy Wan'Dale, or are you going with your former Giant, Sterling Shepard?
No, I'm going to go Sterling Shepard here. I understand the Wan'Dale's been getting a lot of targets. I absolutely hate the matchup against the Steelers in prime time. I'm kind of surprised the Giants are still rolling with Daniel Jones at this point. Wan'Dale, he could have 5, 6, 7 catches, but that's going to yield him 35, 40 yards. I'm going to go with a little bit of the unknown here in Sterling Shepard.
I think I might lean Sterling as well there, just with T. Higgins is officially out. So everyone watching, T. Higgins is out. So get him out of your lineup. And this does downgrade Burrow a tiny bit, but like we said earlier, he still has Chase. He still has some solid wideouts behind him. So he's still a good play. All right, AJ Balls from X. Thank you so much for the question. Can you pick one? Rashad White, Ramondre Stevenson, Tony Pollard, or Chase Brown? And then we got a follow-up question, which we'll get to after we pick one. So it's going to be a little bit of rapid fire because we only have about 5 minutes left. So let's start out with Anthony. Who would you pick out of those backs?
Just quickly before I answer, all you guys on X, thank you so much for watching. If you could hop on YouTube and just like the show, it helps us go a long way and grow in the show. But appreciate you watching wherever you watch, especially if it's on X. So I'm going to go with Pollard. Simply put, he's just the running back I trust the most. Matchups aside, all of that stuff. He's the clear starter, and that's why I'm going to go Pollard.
There we go. And Max?
Yep, I'm going to go with Pollard as well. And Tajay Spears being out for the week only bolsters his value. So that's just another thing to keep in mind there.
That's a great point, Max. And how about you, Jason?
Pollard,
a clean sweep. And then for quarterback, AJ wants either Mayfield, Geno, or Aaron Rodgers. I will quickly pick Geno at home against Buffalo. I think that's a great matchup. Even though DK's out, I still think he gets it done because he's been running too. I just trust him the most. How about you, Jason?
I do trust Geno the most at this point. And Bill's defense, other than the game against Jacksonville, which does not even count, has not been that great. So I'm going Geno at home.
Yeah. Max?
I would roll with Baker there. I think he's been the QB2 and player 2 overall, and with DK out, it might be a little bit more challenging for Geno.
All right, and quickly, Anthony?
Geno, he's been a top 10 quarterback all year. The missing DK is going to hurt, but they still have a lot of good weapons.
3-1 Geno. I understand the Mayfield, though, for sure. All right, so Ward Rents Baker. Thank you for the question. Komet or Laporta? And then Tua or Nix. So I'll go with that's tough. I think I just can't really trust Laporta, but the Bears have so many mouths to feed. So I think I'll go with the safer floor in Laporta and hope he finds the end zone this week. And then I would go with Bo Nix. I think he has a great matchup against Carolina. I think he runs a lot today. And I would just rather go with that and see if Tua holds up today. So I got Laporta and Nix. How about you, Max?
I would actually go with Komet and Tua. I think Komet had a big performance before the bye last week, 70 yards and 2 touchdowns. Caleb's starting to develop a connection with him. And then I like Tua's matchup. Obviously, not as much rushing upside as Nix, but I think he could have a good game today.
Okay. And Jason?
I'm going Laporta and I'm going Bo. Yeah, again, for the reasons that you mentioned, Jacob, I just, safer floor with Laporta. Titans defense isn't good. And then with Nix, yeah, Carolina's defense really isn't good. So he should have a big day.
They are not good. And Anthony?
Cole Kmet for tight end. Eye test tells me he's Caleb's favorite target. He's had a couple monster games. Laporta's been really disappointing. So Kmet. Yeah. And for the quarterbacks here, this one's tough, but I am going to go with Tua. The matchup is good. Bo Nix also has a good matchup, but the Panthers get gassed on the ground. They've given up over 200 yards a few times this season, just less than 100 yards twice, with one of those games being a 99-yard rushing performance by the Broncos, I think, in week 1. So I could very easily see the Broncos blowing them out just by running the ball. So give me Tua for the quarterback.
Solid. So it looks like we're split. So we need John to come back on and break the tiebreaker. I'm just kidding, dude. Keep resting. All right, JJ Witt. Thank you for the question. Jaden Daniels or Hurts? Really quickly, I'll go with Hurts. And then Mostert or Chuba Hubbard. So Anthony, who you got here? Let's be super quick. We got 2 minutes.
Sure, I'm going to go with Hurts. Jaden Daniels is hurt, so give me Hurts here. And I am going to go with Mostert. I'm largely hands off the Panthers with Bryce Young under center.
Okay, and Jason?
Yeah, I'm going Hurts and Mostert myself.
Okay, and Max?
Yep, consensus here. We got Hurts and Mostert.
Hurts and Mostert for me too, with that tough Denver matchup for Chuba. And then Jason Ortiz, start 1, Pollard, Pittman, or Jalen McMillan. Right off the bat, I will go with Pollard just for what we just said. Tyjae Spears is out. He's getting all the volume. I'll go with Tony. How about you guys? Let's go, Anthony.
I'm going to go Tony Pollard. He's just the most reliable. And like I said before, the Colts offense just stinks this season.
Right. And then Jason?
Yeah, it's Pollard for me too. RB1.
Excellent.
Yep, Pollard for me as well. So clean sweep.
Pollard it is. And then another question from Jason Sutton, Pittman, Jalen McMillan, or Wan'Dale Robinson. This is a little bit tougher, but I am going to it's between, for me, it's Pittman or Jalen McMillan. If it was my fantasy team, I think I would roll the dice on
Well, you start Pittman's 2, so it sounds like you've got Pittman and McMillan.
Oh, thank you, Anthony. Thank you so much. That makes it so much easier. Yes, Pittman.
I'm going to agree with you.
For me.
I'm going to agree with you, by the way. Let's just get that out of the way. Wan'Dale is I just don't see a lot of upside, despite the mass amount of targets. He just doesn't get a lot of yards after catch. And Sutton, like I said earlier, is kind of just seems like he's being phased out in Denver.
Right. How about you, Max?
Yep, same here. I would go with McMillan and Pittman. It does seem like Sutton's kind of being phased out a little. And although Wan'Dale gets a lot of targets, he hasn't really produced much with those targets so far in the early season.
Yeah, that's fair. And Jason?
You know what? I'm going Pittman and Sutton here. And the reason is Sutton put up a 0 last week against the Saints. Usually when somebody puts up a nothing and you want to bench them, usually has the bounce back game and you hate yourself for benching them. So go Sutton.
I respect that. And then JJ Witt, I will not say that curse word, but it's funny. Kill, F, or marry with these misfits in my other league. So our Wan'Dale, Waddle, or Pickens. So I guess I'm going to – okay, so between these, I'm going to kill Wan'Dale. It's tough between him and Waddle, but I guess I will kill – man, that sounds weird to say. I'll kill Wan'Dale. I will love on Pickens for the upside. Russell looked pretty good last week. And then no. I want to marry. Oh gosh, I don't know. This question always confuses me.
I got
take this. Who wants to be the?
I'll make this easier. We'll do start bench cut. We'll keep this family friendly. Start bench cut. For me,
I'm starting Pickens. I'm benching Wan'Dale. No, I'm benching Waddle and I'm cutting Wan'Dale. How about you, Anthony?
I'm going to piggyback that. Start Pickens, bench Waddle, cut Wandale.
Okay. Jason.
I'm in the same camp. I'm a Pickens truther, always have been, especially him getting some competent quarterback play really helps. So I'm starting George Pickens. I'm benching Waddle because Waddle does have a crazy upside. Like his ceiling is crazy, but he has a very low floor. And then, yeah, Wandale until he actually gets a quarterback.
Yeah. There we go. And Max.
Yep, I'm on the same page with you guys here. I think Pickens looked really good with Wilson at the helm last week, 111 yards, a touchdown. So I'm excited to see how he builds off that performance this week.
Excellent. And then I think we have one last question from Jax Hose. Obey Jackson. Thank you so much for the question. Thank you for tuning in on YouTube. Please make sure to like and subscribe. It helps us out a ton, guys. We got Ferguson or Tucker Kraft. Who you got, Jason? Fergie. And how about you, Max?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ferg as well. Kraft has had a few touchdowns in the recent weeks, but I think Ferg is a safer play here.
Yeah. And Anthony?
I'm going to go Jake Ferguson. He's the number 2 target in Dallas. Tucker Kraft he's been really good this season, but there's a lot of mouths to feed. Leads to a little bit more inconsistency.
I will echo that sentiment. I would go with Fergie as well, although it is close. I have Ferguson just one spot ahead of Kraft. But that's a clean sweep there, and it's nice to end on a clean sweep, that's for sure. Before we go, Anthony, do you have any bets or anything that you just want to get off your chest before we sign off? Or any of you guys?
I've got a couple, but I will just roll with – I'll give you 2. I like for Buffalo, Seattle, I like Kenneth Walker to go over 100 rushing yards, and that's the odds for that are plus 425 on DraftKings. Ooh. And then this one might be a little out there, but for Denver, Carolina, for plus 1,500, I like Denver to win in a shutout.
Whoa. That could definitely happen. That is definitely in the realm of possibility.
The Carolina Panthers with Bryce Young until we see if he's improved.
That's fair. Jason or Max, no pressure, but do you have anything that you want to get off your chest or anything, any hot takes that you want to get out there?
I got a couple props for people that like the space. We do this on our Thursday show. We get a couple prop bets that we throw in and we like to, try to hopefully help the people, help the masses win some money. So today I like Tyler Lockett over 56.5 receiving yards and Josh Allen over 227.5 passing yards. Shout out my guy Chop for sending me those, and hope those work out for you.
Yeah,
excellent.
I would say the one betting pick I'll have is the Browns +8 against the Ravens. I think Deshaun was really holding them back, and they still have a good defense with Nick Chubb getting healthier. I know the Ravens are obviously a great team, but 8 points is a lot of points. So I look for them to keep it close this week against Lamar and the Ravens.
I love it, guys. Take notes and pounce on these plays. We got one last question before we wrap it up from Jay. Thank you, Jay. We got Tank Dell, Wandale, or Jacoby. I'm going to go with an easy Tank for me. How about you, Max?
Yeah, I have Tank in one of my leagues. I know he put up a goose egg last week, but I think this is a big bounce back week for Tank. So I'm going to go with Tank as well.
And Jason?
Tank season for me too.
Tank season? Anthony, do we have a clean sweep or no?
We do. I wanted to go Jacoby Myers, but he may or may not play. He's got an ankle injury. His practice schedule has been really weird this week. He practiced limited on Wednesday. He was out on Thursday and then practiced full on Friday. So I'm just going to kind of stay away from that and go with Tank Dell.
All right. So we have a clean sweep to end the show. Excellent. Well, that wraps up our Sports Ethos Fantasy NFL Today show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please make sure to like and subscribe. And please tune in next week. We are here every week at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. So with that, thank you guys so much again for joining. And we will see you next week. And good luck this week.